Okay, good morning, everybody. It's now 9 a.m. Just real quickly, I was just working with our IT department to get the YouTube stream up and running. So it is, and they are now going to post a link on the PRC's website. So to the extent anyone has clients that are hoping to view the YouTube stream of the proceeding, they should be able to find the link on the website up towards the top of the PRC's website. If there's any difficulty, they can get in hold of Anna Kippenbrock, and she'll assist in the background while we're all doing this. Any questions from anybody on that? It should be, you just go to the PRC website and it should be self-evident that there's a link. You click the link, it launches YouTube, and there's your stream of what we're all doing here right now. So beyond that, I'm not sure I have anything else to tell everybody except that I hope it's working in the background and doing it what it should be. Any questions from anybody on that subject?
No, Your Honor.
Great. Okay, so let me just open a document here. Kendra, are you ready to go? And
yes.
Muted. Great. Okay. So we're here today for case number 20-00085 UT. Today is Monday, August 24th, 2020. My name is Christopher Ryan. I was appointed the hearing examiner to preside over this case. And I'll take attendance from the parties or appearance. And so why don't we just go, I'll use my list here and I hope, well, you know, why don't we do it this way? I see all the individuals that are here, so I'll just start with, could I have the appearances for SPS, please?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Zoe Lees on behalf of SPS. Here with me today is Dana Hardy and Mark Walker, also attorneys for SPS. We have two witnesses we'll present today, Nisha Fleischman and Abayu Bogale.
Great, and Ms. Fleischer, Mr. Bogale, is your audio and working out pretty well?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss, okay, I just wanted to make sure I could hear you both. Very good. So let's move. We have intervener Excel Energy.
Excel Energy is the holding company for SPS, Your Honor. It's the same.
Yeah. Okay. So, but is Mr. Rushoff, you're appearing for Excel? Is that right? Or XTO? Excuse me.
Yes.
I apologize. I'm sorry. That was my bad. I should have been XTO Energy Inc. The names are very similar.
Yes, good morning. Austin Rushoff on behalf of XTO Energy Inc.
Yes, thank you. And anyone else from your organization?
No.
Great, thank you. Louisiana Energy Services? Is Ms. Drake present? Oh, I see she may be in the waiting room.
Hearing examiner Ryan, this is Raj Solomon, PRC staff. Mr. Bagako has been waiting, so if you could please let him in.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. I was working with our IT department to.
No worries, sir. He just texted me. He wants to be let in.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Bogako.
Good morning. You had me
I
worried.
apologize for leaving you in the waiting room, sir. I was dealing with Miguel and trying to get our YouTube stream running. So we were sort of doing that with about a minute.
I thought for sure I messed something up. So thank you very much.
No, not at all. My apologies for leaving you out there. As I say, I was just trying to make sure that Miguel had what he needed so that the YouTube stream is going on our website. So that was a bit complicated. Anyway, so we got to Mr. Rushoff and XTO Energy. Louisiana Energy Services, I believe, Ms. Drake, are you now with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
I apologize to Ms. Drake too. I was, as I said, just dealing with IT stuff in the background. It's a lot of little details there. Okay, and for staff, appearances, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hearing Examiner John Bagacco with the Legal Division, and I'm representing Jack Sidler with the Utility Division of Staff today, my sole witness.
Very good. Is there anyone that I didn't catch in going over all that? And I see Mr. Solomon was here and he announced himself as well. I'll just note his appearance for the record. And as far as I'm concerned, on the participants list, that appears to be everyone. Very good. We did not receive any requests from any members of the public to make comments. Those the opportunity to make public comments was noticed on the PRC's website, and no one did in fact request an opportunity to speak. The content of today's hearing will be somewhat limited in light of the stipulation of the parties in the order dated of August 14th, 2005, and I'm pretty certain that was the date. I'm just verifying that. Excuse me, it was August the 18th, 2020. That stipulation basically agreed that there is not a hearing necessary on the question of the CCN, the location of the line, or the question of the AFUDC, and that the testimony on those subjects would be admitted by stipulation of the parties. That remains the case, I presume, for everyone involved?
That is
And if I could
correct,
just,
Examiner.
if I could ask each of the parties to confirm that, that'd be great.
Yes, that's my understanding, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
Mine as well.
Mine as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. And the actual function of that would be to admit the testimony of Jared Cooley and Alexandria Simons into the record. Unless there is any objections, that testimony shall be entered. Very
Thank you,
good.
Your Honor. We also have two other exhibits, Exhibit 5 and 6. Exhibit 5 is the application and Exhibit 6 is the notice of filing a publication that we would also like to be admitted into the record if there are no objections.
Okay, and so are those exhibits materials that were provided previously, or those are new documents?
Those were provided previously. They are in the Dropbox.
Very good. And so I guess I'm glad you said what you've chimed in here. So that the testimony that we have from Mr. Bogal and Ms. Fleischman, excuse me, I've got the wrong pile. The testimony from Mr. Cooley and Ms. Simons, they're effectively the content within all those documents remains the same.
Correct, Your Honor. There are no
Okay.
corrections.
Very good. And I see no basis for not including those exhibits. If I understand correctly, you're saying that the exhibits that you're asking for admission now were included in the previous packets with that testimony.
Correct. Correct, Your Honor. I sent two emails out. One was exhibits 1 through 4 with the testimony had been added to the Dropbox. The subsequent email I sent out added exhibits 5, which was the application, and 6, which is the notice of filing the publication.
Okay,
So exhibit 5 and 6, we would like to be admitted into the record.
I understand. Thank you for that clarification. Yes, is there any objections to that from anyone?
No objection.
No objection.
Mr. Hearing Examiner, no objection. I was just pausing, just trying to keep the channel clear. Thank
It's
you.
fine. No worries. And I don't know if everyone's aware of this or not, but you actually can use your space bar apparently to toggle on and off your mute button. I understand everyone's doing that for obvious reasons, but I didn't realize Zoom allowed you to do that until very recently. So if you wish to experiment with that, you're free to do so. It seems like an easier way than finding the little mute icon and having to navigate the screen all the time. Okay, so we are basically here today to admit the evidence of Mr. Bogal and Ms. Fleischman. So I would ask that SPS call its first witness.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. SPS's first witness is Nabayu Bogali. Nabayu, can you?
Go ahead. Well, so I was going to, sorry, excuse me, before you go on, Ms. Tellez, are you going to swear the witness in?
Yes, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Bogali.
Good morning.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
My name is Nabiyu Bogala.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I am employed by Exide Energy Services, Inc. I am currently working as a principal transmission line engineer.
Do you have in front of you a document that's marked as SPS Exhibit 4?
Yes,
Can you please identify that document?
it's my direct testimony.
Was that direct testimony prepared by you or under your direct supervision and control?
Yes,
Are the answers in that testimony true and correct as you sit here today?
yes, they are correct.
Mr. Examiner, I move the admission of SPS Exhibit 4.
Are there any objections? Okay, hearing no objections, that Exhibit 4 shall be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Bogali is available to answer questions from Your Honor and the parties if there are any.
Do we have any one who wishes to cross-examine Mr. Bogali? Okay, I don't hear anyone responding to that question. Is Mr. Bogali needed for any other reason?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you very much then. Not hearing anything else from the parties, Mr. Bogali is excused, and we can proceed to SPS's second witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. SPS presents Nisha Fleischman, asks her to come to the stand. She addresses section 62.9 3.2D of the statute, which requires a hearing today, so we're making her available.
Very good. Ms. Tellez, could you please swear the witness in?
And Ms. Fleischman, can you please unmute yourself? Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury? I didn't hear you.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Fleischman.
Good morning.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Nisha Fleischman.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I work for Excel Energy Services, Southwestern Public Service Company, and I am a senior siting and land rights agent.
And do you have in front of you a document marked Exhibit SPS 2?
Yes, I do.
And can you please identify that document?
It is my direct testimony.
And was that prepared by you or under your direct supervision and control?
Yes, it was.
And are the answers contained therein true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, they are.
Mr. Hearing Examiner, I move the admission of SPS Exhibit 2, the direct testimony of Nisha P. Fleischman, into the record.
So is there any objections for any of the parties? Well, hearing no objection, Exhibit 2, SPS, the direct testimony of Nisha Fleischman, the accompanying attachments is admitted. And then, yeah, go ahead, Ms. Lees.
I was just going to say Ms. Fleischman is available for questioning.
And just out of just for confirmation, and I apologize I didn't do this with Ms. Hardy, I assume also Ms. Fleischman And Mr. Bogale's testimony, there's no changes of any kind between what was submitted as pre-filed testimony and what we have now.
No, we've made no corrections to the testimonies, Your Honor.
Is that the case as well, Ms. Hardy? As to Mr.
Your
Bogal?
Honor, that's correct.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to confirm.
Thank you.
All right, so Ms. Fleischman, we are now at the moment where I'll ask other parties if there's any other desire to do any cross-examination of Ms. Fleischman. Don't hear any requests, so then I would ask, is SPS wishing to inquire of anything of Ms. Fleischman, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, well, that would conclude Ms. Fleischman's participation. Does the applicant SPS have any other witnesses to call?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Bogatko,
Yes, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
your evidence is Mr. Sidler.
That is correct. But before we get there, I do have a minor housekeeping matter or a question for your consideration, Mr. Hearing Examiner. On Friday, SPS filed its notice of acceptance of staff's conditions.
Yes.
Just bridge the gap between what Mr. Sidler had laid out in his direct in terms of conditions and accepted all of those. And I was wondering, will Mr. Hearing Examiner be taking administrative notice of those?
Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Bogatko. I certainly can, and I guess I would ask, is there anything that the SPS would like me to do in light of that, accepting the conditions, your notice that you are accepting the conditions?
I don't think so, Your Honor. I think taking administrative notice of that filing is sufficient.
Very good. So yes, Mr. Bogatko, I appreciate you bringing that up, and yes, I shall take administrative notice of that matter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hearing Examiner. And with that, may I proceed with getting Mr. Sidler's testimony into the record?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Sidler.
Good morning.
You recall filing some direct testimony in this case on July 31st, 2020?
Yes, I
Do
do.
I need to swear him in?
Yes, please.
That's a good idea.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth and the penalty of perjury?
Yes,
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sidler, do you have a copy of that testimony in front of you?
yes, I do.
And it's a copy that's been provisionally marked as Staff Exhibit 1, is that correct?
Yes,
Mr. Sidler, have you had a chance to review and vet that copy to make sure it accurately reflects what you filed in this case on July 31st, 2020?
yes, I have, and it does.
So based on what you got in front of you, Mr. Sidler, is that testimony true and accurate to the best of your belief?
Yes, it is.
And if you were asked the same questions today on the stand as what are posed in that document, would your answers still be the same?
Yes, they would.
And one last minor thing, Mr. Sidler, do you have any changes or corrections to make to your testimony as we sit here today in the virtual reality of Zoom?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, with that, Mr. Hearing Examiner, I would move to admit the prepared direct testimony of Jack D. Sidler into the record of this case, marked as Staff Exhibit 1.
Are there any objections from any other party? Hearing no objection, I have only one question. Again, I'll ask the same question I asked to the parties. Has Mr. Sidler's testimony changed at all from the prepared direct testimony that was previously submitted as a pre-filed document?
No, it hasn't.
No. Very good.
Mr. Hearing Examiner, I would tender Mr. Sidler for any cross that these attack dogs might have for me.
No cross, Your Honor.
Yes, I understand. So is there any other need from staff's perspective for Mr. Sidler? Any other matters from him?
Sir. Thank you very much for your consideration and indulgence in this case, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
Thank you very much. Are there any other witnesses that any other matters concerning evidence that we need to deal with in this moment? don't believe there is. The typical process, I believe, at this juncture would be to talk about a briefing schedule, but of course, I don't believe that will be necessary. Is there any desire to brief any subjects of any kind by any party?
Mr. Hearing Examiner.
Not from SPS, Your Honor.
No strenuous desire on our part either, unless you really have some specific issues you'd like. to
No,
take.
sir. And I've went over all of this materials. I've already practically completed what needs to be done in this matter. I have no reason to doubt that the application will be anything but approved. And in light of that, there should be no need for briefing, I presume.
I agree. Thank you very much, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
I agree. There's no need, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else that any of the parties would wish for there to be addressed now or today?
Your Honor, occasionally hearing examiners ask SPS to do a first draft of the recommended decision and circulate it to the parties. Would you like us to do that for this matter?
I don't believe so, unless that's your
Okay.
preference.
No, it's up to whatever is your preference, Your Honor.
No, I don't think that's necessary. I appreciate that statement.
Okay.
Is there anything else from anyone at all?
No, sir, other than to convey my thanks to all of the parties and Mr. Hearing Examiner for today's proceeding.
Very good. Ms. Tellez, do you have anything for us, or you're all set?
I got the Dropbox, but did it include the 2 new exhibits, the 4 and 5, I believe that you added?
It should be. So if you, yes, and if you click the link, I mean, whatever Ms.
Okay.
Lee's updated, it will reflect the,
Okay.
the current, it should anyway.
Okay, thank you.
I did upload them to the Dropbox, so hopefully they're there.
Yeah, and then my question is only, I presume that when you go back and click the link of availability, it updates automatically with whatever is in Dropbox. So I think that should be no problem. The only thing I would inform parties is that with Dropbox, the transfer files link remains active for 7 days. So don't rely on Dropbox to continually go back, download it, and put it in a file on your computer if that's something you wish to do. So that link will eventually rot, as they say. Okay, with that, I would bring the hearing to a close. We'll go off the record. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you all.
And thank you
Take
to
care.
all the parties.
Goodbye.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you very much.